Oh.
Yeah, if you leave men to their own devices, they will come up with the worst things to do to themselves.
Yeah.
But so that was so Duesberg, his contention, and it was like, I remember we had him on the podcast, and it was the first time we got like violent pushback. People like, you have blood on your hands. I'm like, who's dying of AIDS right now? Because this was like 2012 or something. I'm like, who's dying of AIDS? Is this a real thing? Because I'm just bringing on this guy from the University of California, Berkeley, who's a tenured professor who did groundbreaking research on cancer, like really respected, until he took this position on HIV that was outside of the Fauci narrative. And he was like, I don't think that's what we're looking at here. He goes, I think HIV is a symptom of someone having a very compromised immune system. I don't think it's a cause. And they were like, you monster. You have blood on your hands. Like, I remember there was an article written in one of those magazines, like Spin magazine or something like that.
Spin.
Back in the day, you know, one of those like cool.
Yeah.
But they used to have cool music magazines. Like Spin was a cool music magazine.
There was another one. What was the other one? No.
No, Maxim was like a guy's magazine. But like, remember Rolling Stone used to be cool?
Yeah.
It used to be cool. It was like, before it was like a propaganda arm. It was like you'd get interesting stories. And this was in, I think it was Spin magazine.
Spin, yeah. There was another one that was like Spin. That's what I'm trying to remember. Like,
see if you can find
Spin?
Peter Duesberg article AIDS.
Easy died only a month after he was diagnosed.
Whoa.
Whoa, he went full blown that fast?
He might have been diagnosed with full blown, I think.
Right.
Wow.
And some rapper thinks there's a conspiracy that he was killed by the government.
Well, that's fun.
I mean, Ice Cube had that whole album saying that he got fucked in the ass by Dr. Dre in a baseball bat, no Vaseline or whatever. So
yeah. Well, who knows?
Ice Cube.
Don't you remember when Suge Knight was on, I think he was on Jimmy Kimmel's show, talking about how you just inject somebody with AIDS?
Oh, yeah.
You could inject them with AIDS?
Like the mosquitoes.
Yeah. What was my question? Oh, Peter Duesberg, Spin magazine. Yeah, so he wrote this article about it, and then I believe he wrote a book about it, but he's fucked. Like, his career completely stalled out after that. He couldn't get funding for things, and, you know, widely dismissed by almost all other scientists. And back then, I used to think it doesn't make sense that this one guy has figured things out and that nobody else does. But now I'm like, maybe it's the same as what happened during COVID. But maybe back then there's no internet. And maybe back then they could just get away with it. And maybe back then they got used to getting away with it, which is why they tried it again in 2020. That's why they did the exact same thing to all those like legitimate professors, legitimate doctors. They shamed them and banned them. They didn't want anybody deviating. And that's, I think, what they might have done to this guy. That's crazy to think that the whole AIDS crisis might have really been about people destroying their immune system through hardcore drug use. That was his contention. And people were saying it's very homophobic. It's like, okay, let's say a bunch of nice things about gay people. We love them. We appreciate, you know, I have no problem with gay people. Let's say it. Like, if you're talking about this, if you were a doctor back then, gay people are amazing. However, all these gay people are doing drugs. All these gay people that are getting AIDS, like something like 90% of them were hardcore drug users. This was his contention. And you would say, well, that's what opens them to the type of behavior that you get AIDS with. Like, okay, right. But Sam Kinison had a bit about that. Do you remember his bit? He was like, they say, Sam, AIDS is a communicable disease. Straight people get it too. He goes, name one!